So, check this out, people. So, today's Saturday, and it's a beautiful day as far as I'm concerned. It's not hot, it's like less than 60 degrees, and it's summertime, right? So, it's perfect for me. So, today I'm home for the first time in a year, right? Since I've been back home here to the US from the Philippines, right? All I've been doing is working. That's all I've been doing is work, work, work. I've never even had the time to enjoy my new space, right, where I'm living now, because all I've done is just come home, sleep, and go to work. So basically, I'm just paying rent to have a place to sleep, right? Not a place to live. And that's how most of us are living, right? We're not even working to live. We're working to survive right now, right? Because everything is so freaking expensive. It's ridiculous. Last week, I filled up my tank. I didn't even fill it up. It was halfway already. Cost me $80. $80 to fill my tank the rest of the way when it was already halfway full. Imagine if it was empty, right? It'd be crazy. And so, for the first time, I've been able to. I woke up today, right? I set my alarm to go do a run, to do a job, because that's what I do. I deliver. I like to drive. I enjoy doing that. I turn on my music. I got my coffee. I'm right where I want to be, right? And I was so tired because I worked so much that I missed the alarm. I missed the job. Two people called and texted me, and I didn't even hear that, right? And when I woke up, I took a shower. I turned on the music. I was doing something in this place that I had never done since I moved in, which is wake up and simply enjoy the space that I'm living in, right? Because all we're doing is just working to pay for a place to sleep. We're not even paying for a place to live because we can't live, right? And it is cheaper for me, believe it or not, it's cheaper for me to stay home and not work than it is to go to work, because it costs me money to go to work every day because I drive for a living. So every single day is costing me between 40 and 80 dollars a day to go to work, right? So that I can get paid. And then after I get paid, more than half my paycheck I have to put to the side for gas, right? So it's cheaper for me to just work 3 days a week and stay home, right? So what's my point, right? My point is that for those who are older, right, who have experienced life and who have gotten to a place where they're starting to realize that family is more important than working all your life and have nothing to show for it, right? That family, your grandkids, your children, right? To spend time with them, to do the things that you should be doing, because this is the time, right? Once you reach 55 and older, the things that you have to start thinking about is something that a lot of people may or may not think about. I don't know, but it's dying, right? It's dying, because that's something that's been on my mind for the past, since I've been back, believe it or not, since I got sick, and now I'm better. My mind has changed. My mind has changed because I'm older. I've been sick before. I've been hospitalized before, right? With more serious issues, right? But for some reason this time, because I have grandkids that I'm not even going to get a chance to spend time with, even now as I'm telling you guys these things. I get to spend time with one of my grandkids because she's in the state that I'm in now, but my other grandkids, they're in a different state, right? And so I have to make the best of these things, right? I have to start communicating more and doing things that you just don't think about, because all we're thinking about is work, work, and work, right? I have kids. Do you think my kids have time to miss a day of work to come visit me at the hospital? No, most people don't, right? My daughter called me when I was in the hospital, right? She says, "Pa, I'm going to come see you." And I said, "No, don't come because it doesn't make sense for you to miss a day's work just to come see me. I'm fine," right? She's going to miss a whole day's work. And everyone knows what happens when you miss a day's work here in the US, right? A whole day's work is one whole bill that you won't be able to pay that month, right? Or week, whatever. And so as we get older, right? Because I have friends that I'm starting to see every time I go onto Facebook. One is passing away, right? Either from diabetes, heart failure, some issue, right, that has to do with age. We're getting older, right? We're getting older. The older you get, the faster your body breaks down. I don't care how much you exercise. I don't care how much you take care of yourself. There are people who have never drank, never smoked, never did anything, and they have issues. And then there are people who do all of these things and have no issues. That's just the way life is most of the time, right? But we have to focus on the people who matter, right? Once you reach that age, because listen, I don't expect young kids to understand what I'm saying. They're not. You can advise a young kid till you're blue in the face. They don't get it till they get it. And usually we don't get it till we're older, right? This is why older men always want to give young guys advice. You notice that it's always the older guys that want to give young guys advice. It's not the young guys giving young guys advice, right? Because they don't know nothing. But the older guys want to give young guys advice because they've already done the things that these young guys are doing, right? You think that that old man who's giving advice, if he could go back, he would change anything? He might tell you he would, but he won't. He won't. He's giving advice now because he's already lived it. He's too old to continue to do it. And because he can't do it, now he's ready to give advice. That is the advice of an older wise man, right? Older wise men tell you not to do something because you're going to be affected in some negative way because they can't do it. Listen, ladies, gentlemen, let me explain something to you. Do you honestly believe that a 70-year-old man who, if he could get it up and it could stay up and he can ejaculate like he did when he was in his 30s, do you think he'd be telling a young man, hey, you need to chill, don't do these things, it's not good for you? Really? Because I'm a man, and I'm telling you this as a man, right? That the only reason older men give younger men the advice not to do the things they once did is because they can't do it anymore. That's it. Don't you notice that? That after we have broken people, that after we've lived our lives, that after we've done all of the things to either hurt others or to hurt ourselves, once we get older and we can't do it anymore because we no longer have that desire, because we don't have the energy or the strength, right? We don't have that stamina. And so we no longer look for those things, right? It's easy to tell someone, don't do it like this because you can't do it anymore, right? And so this is why I don't give anybody advice. This is why I don't tell young guys, hey, listen, don't do this, don't do that. It's not good, because I know I used to do that. Every man used to do it. Out of all the men that were created or existed in the past and in the present and in the future, they're all going to do the exact same thing that every generation tells the next generation, don't do it. Because they can't do it. A runner who is born to run is going to run all the way up until he can't run no more, right? And then once he can't no longer run, he might want to coach someone to teach them how to run, right? And so in life, right, we experience things, and then once we experience them, when we get older, we want to pass the knowledge down, right? But it's easy to teach and coach someone in sports, in running, right, basketball, whatever, because you can always quit if you're not good at it, right? But in real life, you can't. In real life, you have to go through it, right? Get it out of your system, and then once it's out of your system, move on, and don't lie to the young kids and say, hey, don't do this, it's not good for you. Yeah, it's not, but unfortunately our nature leads us to do certain things that we were, for some reason society has made us believe that everything we do as males is negative or no good. Young guys don't even know which way to go, left or right. They don't know how to talk to a woman because they're afraid to, right? They were born in this era where if you say to a woman, hey, I like your shoes, oh, sexual harassment. If you say to her, I like your hair, so what do? They keep quiet. They keep quiet. They don't interact with women. They don't know how. It's pathetic. It's a shame, and it's sad, right? Unfortunately, we live in a time also where children are being sheltered, right? Parents are afraid to let their kids go out and play in this day and age, right? Where it's not like when I was growing up where there was crack, cocaine, heroin, meth, mescaline, you name it, opium, homelessness. I mean, it was crazy, and kids were out playing in the streets every day. But anyway, I'm getting off the subject. I'm going all over the place, right? I guess all of these things relate somehow, right? Because when we get older and we think back on the things we did, and we start to realize that none of these things matter. They don't. When you look back and you say, wow, I raised my kids love me, or some love me and some don't, or there's a problem with this one or there isn't, it doesn't matter. None of those things matter. You know why? Because it's your job to be a mother. It's your job to be a father. It's not your job to raise your kids so that they can take care of you when you're older. That those customs exist in other countries. They do. But these are not customs that we're used to, right? So our kids don't think that way, right? And so when you get older, you start to see that your kids are going to have responsibilities of their own that don't include you, right? And that when they don't call, when they don't get involved, or whatever, it has nothing to do with you. It's not personal. It's just life, right? I know, because I was a kid. I grew up. I had my own family, and I had things to worry about myself, right? Then when I got older and I realized that raising your kids is not so that you can pat yourself on the back or think you did a good job or a bad job. It's to raise them and move on, right? That when you have friends as a child and then you grow up, those friends are no longer there because they have a life, right? When you work all your life for a company and you dedicate yourself, and something happens and you're no longer able to work, they give you a watch or pat you on the back and say, have a good life. Nothing really matters, right? And when you get older and you sit down and you find yourself by yourself and you start to look back on all of the things that you've done for others that were good, and then you look around and you find that you have nothing to show for it, not from those who you've helped, not from those who you've been there for, not for the companies you've dedicated your life to, not for anyone that you've been there. None of those people are there, right? The people that you were there for and the things that you did for everyone that you believed would make your life better, right? In any way that, whether mentally, emotionally, spiritually, whatever, right? Everybody has a belief, right? You're gonna find that when you get older, none of those things matter. None of them. There is no, and this is sad to say because I believe in the high power. I believe in what we call God, right? But I believe differently than I once did, and that most people believe, right? And that's that if you do good in this world, and if you do good for people, nothing good is gonna come to you. Nothing. You're gonna find out that if you get sick, no one will come to see you. None of those people who you've helped. If you die, or when you die, not if, but when you die, a lot of those people will show up just to show their faces to their friends and family so that they can make them believe that they were there or that they even cared, right? But bringing someone flowers after they're dead, there's no point. There's no point. I'd rather you not show up at my funeral if you weren't there for me when I was alive. What's the point? I don't know you're there. Stay home, right? And so I'm starting to realize now in my older life that unless you simply dedicate yourself to those who dedicate themselves to you, right? Because I read in a book that what's the point in doing things for those who do things for you? Do things for those who don't do things for you. The problem is that we've forgotten about the people who do things for us, and we focused on those who don't do a damn thing for us and who could care less about us because we believe that that's what we're supposed to do. But how about those who are close to you? They don't matter? Or are you waiting for a stranger to do for them what you do for other strangers when it should be you being there for your daughter, being there for your son, being there for your husband, and vice versa, the man for his son, daughter, and wife, right? So that when we die, the person that has been with us all our lives can look up at us and know that they had a good life with you, that you made them happy. And you can live on happily, even though you're sad, right? Because you know that you did everything to make that person's life better, to make them happy, to make them laugh, right? And you know that you consciously did that. You made choices that were specifically for her or for him. And when that person dies, then there's no reason for you to feel sad other than the fact that that person is no longer there with you to share your days, right? But you know that they died knowing that because of you, their life was more fulfilled, right? And you can live on a little stronger and a lot easier with no regrets, because that's what I plan. That's how I plan to live. Because the woman I'm with, I'll do everything in my power to make sure she's happy, right? And not to hurt her. So that when in my old age and her old age, when one of us passes, the one who continues on doesn't have to cry so much because they're sad. If they cry, it's because of the memories that were good, the memories that matter, right? Not because she didn't say she was sorry for this or for that, or he didn't say he was sorry for this or for that. Instead, they can go on living knowing that every day that passed, she did everything to serve him and he did everything to serve her. And it's not that hard. We just make it look like it is. A woman doesn't want to make a man a sandwich because she's been working all day, as if the man hasn't been working all day, right? You got a man and a woman having a baby so that they can both go to work and then give the baby to someone else to raise. Isn't that an oxymoron? Because I would think that if I want to have a baby, it'll be so that I could stay at home with that baby, raise the baby, have a life, show her or him the life we share together, raise the baby in the way that I want, not the way the babysitter wants, right? Because life is short. And it's funny, you notice how grandparents always want to be good to their grandkids because they're always trying to make up for what they didn't do with their kids. This isn't something that is new, right? Grandparents are always trying to make it better, right? Because being a parent ain't easy. Being a mother, being a father is not easy. It's a learning process with every kid from the first to the last. And trust me, my daughter, my oldest daughter, she got the worst of me because she was my first daughter and I was a first-time father. And trust me, I wasn't always a normal person, right? Because the way I was raised and where I come from, when you crazy, you don't even know you crazy, right? So she got the worst of me. My second daughter got a little better of me, and so on and so on, right? Then we have our grandkids, and then we want to do what we couldn't do with our kids because that's the learning curve, right? And so my point is that we got to stop doing things for the people who don't matter to us. We got to stop doing things for people who we think we have to do good for. When the very same people who care for us are standing there, they're going hungry just like everyone else. They got bills to pay just like everyone else. They got issues just like everyone else. You want to help somebody? Help them. Don't wait for a stranger to do for them what you do for others. So that when you're older and you look back, you can say, man, I did everything I could for her. And it's not hard. It's not hard. Doing everything you could, it's not like having to start up a car that won't start up. You understand? Being there for someone you love shouldn't be that hard. It just doesn't make any sense to me, right? And I've learned this as I've gotten older. This isn't something that you can teach. This is something that we all have to go through in life, man or woman. And this is why the things that I'm talking about now on YouTube and on Facebook, I do it because, I'm hoping that if some younger guy runs into one of my videos, he might have the sense to, hear the advice and take it, right? And like I said, we only give advice when we're older because we can't do the things we once could, right? Because if we could, we'd continue to do them. So the best thing to do in life is mind your business, right? Live your life, live and let live, and care for those who care about you. And stop focusing on the people who don't care about you, right? Because if I have a choice, I would rather be with the person who loves me than to be with the person who I love. Because the person who I love may not love me in the same way. But I guarantee you that the person who loves me will be there when I wake up in the morning versus the person who I love who may not be. Because I love them, they may not love me, but guarantee that the person who loves you, you know they love you. You know it with the way they look at you, the way they talk to you, the way they serve you, right? These are the people we have to dedicate ourselves to instead of our work. Yeah, we got to work, we got to eat. But it's not that hard sometimes to come home and just sit for an hour, 2 hours, turn on Netflix with your girl, watch a movie before you crash out, right? Because I get it, how exhausting it is, right? But let's just keep it real. Men aren't doing the jobs that we once did. when I was younger. I was a graphic artist, so I never got my hands dirty. So I cannot talk. I never did hard labor when I was young, right? But when I was young, people worked. People worked. Today, you just open up an app. You don't even break a sweat, right? So there's no excuse for what's going on with people today, right? I just don't understand. I don't understand why a woman would want to have a child and then go to work. It's like buying a dog and putting it in a cage. What's the point? Focus on the people that care about you. And don't be so kind and so spiritual and so religious to others, and forget about the people who actually matter, and those are the people who are closest to you. And yes, I understand. What's the point loving those who love you, right? When you should love those who don't love you. That is where you should receive the reward. But don't let a stranger love the ones closest to you while you're loving another stranger. Have common sense, people. Life is short, and you're going to figure this out. One way or another, we all do. And we have to figure it out alone. Nothing I'm saying is going to make sense to anyone who doesn't get it, or who hasn't been here, or who isn't here now, right? And that's the young guys, the young ladies who are growing up, who are just like I was, and just like most of us who are older were, right? And if we could do those same things, we'll continue to do them. So let's just not be two-faced hypocrites who pretend, right, that we're better than the youth, that we never did those things, that we never will do those things, and that now we frown on those things because, no, you shouldn't do them. The fact is that we do them if we could also. Anyway, thank you people for watching. Have a good day and have a good night.